So anyway, a quick overview of this. These are live coaching sessions. Most of my coaching clients do not want our coaching sessions to be shared on YouTube. So I respect that desire for privacy. Privacy is an important part of being able to speak freely in coaching. But when I was talking with my wife, she said there might be some value in videotaping our strategy sessions. Now, instead of like one weekly session I do with my normal clients, with my wife, here she is. We are live.
Oh, we're live already.
Yes. Well, I was just kind of recapping. So instead of a normal coaching, like 1 hour, once a week thing that we do with my clients, we do a daily strategy session. And so we thought there'd be some value to just displaying this live, sharing this. There's been some technical difficulties setting things up and starting, but we're going to shoot for 8:30. Let me, I guess, a recap of your situation. You are a solopreneur. You do executive communication coaching specifically for people who are not native English speakers. Your niche is especially Japanese people. You've also worked with Chinese people and some people from other areas as well. Yep. But that is the niche you're focusing on. I think a lot of people will relate to many aspects of your business in that you kind of have a smattering of clients. They're not all 100% in that niche where you want to be. You've got a new source of clients that's exciting, that's a step forward, but also you'd like to raise the rate. Like and so we're strategizing, all right, how to fill out more clients at the rate you want.
Yeah.
Now, you've been doing this for a long time,
yes.
teaching English in various capacities. How long?
Since 2000. Well, I got started with curriculum development and preparation for all of this teaching stuff in 2006. But my first official teaching was in 2007 when I piloted the program, the LTL internship program for BYU in Kyoto. So.
Yeah. So if you are a solopreneur scaling a service-based business, you can kind of follow along with us if you're interested in coaching. This is not like strictly coaching, but it does have a lot of the core elements. The biggest growth you're going to see from coaching are simply having someone help you clarify your thoughts, as well as help you hold yourself accountable for taking action. That's what's missing in courses, and not just taking any action, taking right action, taking enough of the right action, versus, like doing a course, trying one thing. Of course, trying one thing is not going to be successful, right? You haven't had enough practice to hone your judgment and your skills, so that usually you have to repeat something lots of times before it's successful. So having someone help you stay on track while you're doing that is really where you see the big growth from coaching. So you can see that process happening. And if you're building your own business, you can do it along with a real human being rather than just reading another article about, how someone grinded like crazy till they had a miraculous opportunity and then everything worked, right? Like that's it. It seems like in retrospect, that's how everybody views their journey, but that's not at all how it looks when you're doing it. So
you're in the middle of it and you don't know what the end's going to be yet. It's easy once you've already reached that level of success to look back and be like, oh, well, I started practically homeless. I had $5 to my name and then, ended up with a multi-million-dollar company or whatever. But yeah, seeing those pieces as they go along, I think is helpful for people who are still at, maybe the lower end of where they want to be success-wise.
Yeah, the incremental changes and the incremental gains, right, that you don't capture in a story after the fact. So I will figure out a way to make that intro a lot shorter.
That's fine.
To recap, but what is your goal right now?
So my goal right now is to fill my client slots, basically. So to give a little bit of background on that, I started doing my freelance stuff in 2018 and it was great. I had lots of clients. People were doing referrals, giving me clients. Some, and again, a wide variety. So some of them were like, high school tutoring things. And then some of them were like C-suite executives. And so it was a really big mix of clients. And as I did that, I figured out the types of clients that I prefer working with, right? At that point, I just needed any clients I could get because I had no idea what I was doing. I really was just starting this, freelancing stuff as it's something I can try.
You'd run a school before, but being a solopreneur, doing it more on your own as like a one-on-one coach type situation, that's what you're transitioning to in 2018.
Exactly. And so I just put my stuff up on a website that people can go to for tutoring. And from there, it kind of spiraled into a lot of clients and referrals. And then, with COVID and with some health issues that I've had this last year, as well as my attention had gotten so scattered, right, in so many different places. And so I was trying to reevaluate and think, okay, how can I get this all back into one place? And the best way I could figure to do that was to narrow my niche to the stuff that I really liked doing. And as much as I like working with high school or college age students, I do prefer those kind of high level business people who need communication skills rather than just the English skills, right? So for me, it's more important the culture and the ways that you say things rather than just like teaching people grammar.
Well, and your language teaching style is also heavily influenced by coaching, and you were starting to do that, even when you were working at the school with students who wanted to go to college in the U.S. You tried to tap into what were they interested in and, have goal-based learning. But there's only so much of that like a high schooler actually understands and is ready for, whereas an executive, not only are they going to have more money to pay for coaching and teaching, but they're also going to understand their goals a lot better. They're going to be more dialed in and more goal-based and focused than a high schooler.
Yeah. And buy-in and everything is not even something I generally have to deal with my adult clients, whereas there's always that space, with teenagers where you have to convince them that you're worth their time. Which I like to think I did most of the time. And it was fun and it was good. But I wasn't feeling the growth and it wasn't headed towards where I wanted to go. So with health issues kind of taking me out of the workspace for a while, because I really haven't worked much since last February. I closed out most of my tutoring clients. I finished up, I was doing college application help and everything like that. And had surgery and had recovery, and now I'm finally at the place where I'm like, okay, now I need to get back into this, but I'm almost starting from scratch in this particular thing, right? With this niche of business executives and communication help and coaching. And so my goal, eventual goal is to fill my client base such that we have a steady income that I don't have to worry about, and I don't have to spend so much time finding clients because I don't like marketing. I don't like saying, hey, everybody, spend your money, give me money so that I can, survive. And it's not that I don't value what I have to offer. It's just I've never been good at asking for things from other people.
Yep. That is a very common challenge, and I'm not primarily a marketing person, so I'm more like product development and personal habits. But everything can be a habit.
Exactly.
And so there's various things that I've tried. I have tried cold email marketing, and you weren't interested in getting into that. Plus, I wasn't very successful when I tried that out personally. So what has worked for you so far in finding new potential clients?
So as I kind of look over the past stuff, that care.com stuff, as far as finding the tutoring clients did get me some like business people as well.
Really? That's
where I got the robotics
babysitting
CEO and the visa manager and the dude in whatever AI technology something.
Were they looking for a babysitter and they happened to find your profile?
No, they were looking. They have a tutoring section on there.
They have it. Okay.
Yeah, so they were looking for tutoring.
Interesting.
And apparently that's where they went. So yeah, they found me from there, as well as referrals. And so that's been the biggest thing, is referrals for me. If I can get in with the right couple of people, and then those people tell other people. There was a point where I was getting so many requests, I was having to start turning them down.
Yeah. So one place we started to look was reaching out to global HR managers, because they're the people that help relocate and train executives in a company.
Yeah.
And so that was another thing that I know you're working on, is reaching out to them. How's that been going?
It's not a whole lot, honestly. I haven't had any responses as far as that, or actually I had one on LinkedIn where they're like, oh, that's really interesting, but not really what we're looking for at this time, which was fine. Most people just didn't respond.
Yeah. And is this like a direct LinkedIn message?
Yeah.
Okay. You seem to have a lot more success when you were commenting on people's posts. Like someone actually asked for your resume just from like random comments on like, this is a cool post. Yeah,
that was cool. That was awesome.
How did that happen?
Well, so they had talked about, if you know anybody in this area who has these particular qualifications, let me know. And my comment on that one was, well, too bad, I don't live in that area because I've got those qualifications. And she's like, well, send me your resume. I'll take a look, because we need people all over.
So you found people looking for that.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So then the question is, if you wanted to get into HR, like global HR managers as a niche, you'd have to find out when they're looking for these services.
Yeah.
I'm actually helping with that. I'm getting a little bit more involved than I would with a normal client, where I'm actually doing the market research. But I do help people do some market research in terms of finding HR blogs and podcasts, reading through people's comments on videos or books on Amazon, etc., to see what their needs are. So maybe that will dig up something. We have some high level stuff so far in terms of the fact that one of the big things with relocation itself is that everyone's trying to keep costs down.
Yes.
So you don't want to pitch yourself as helping with the relocation per se, because everyone's trying to do that cheaper. What you would probably want to do is more of like professional development for people who have been relocated so they can be successful. So that's, like a different budget.
Yeah.
And something that HR people are also looking into. But going back to your earlier comment, all right, so I'd heard about that success. I'd seen some of your other comments on posts. Have some of your other just comments on posts sparked any connections or anything?
Yeah, I've gotten personal messages, but more from people who would be interested in collaborating on something in the future, rather than people who need my services, which I'm interested in, like what people are working on,
right.
But it's not.
Well, what kinds of collaborations?
Just other people who are in the coaching space, language coaching, etc. They want to hear more about what you do, kind of a thing. So professional connections.
But it's people who do the same thing, as opposed to like, if there's a global HR manager that was like, I need a presentation for execs on like helping people adapt to U.S. business culture or something. You're like, I will help you with a free workshop as long as I can name drop my business,
right?
And people can find me later, or that kind of collaboration would be fine, because it's like complementary. They're people who help others relocate, and you help people adjust to their new location. And so like that would be complementary, versus another language teacher who's like, oh, I want to figure out what you're doing and copy it, and whatever.
Not that I think anybody out there is trying to do that. I really do think people are trying to make connections.
I do that as well. But the idea of like, there's a bunch of people trying to learn from each other, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's fine. There's a place for that. I wish actually I belonged to a group of coaches, or had a professional group of coaches that I really enjoyed. I don't actually have that right now. That feels my speed. That's trying to do the things that I'm sort of doing, and so there's value to that, but there's not a lot of business development value to that, because if they're going after the same clients, they're not going to really refer them to you.
Yeah.
So unless you actually talked with someone who did, you wanted to focus on executives, and you knew someone who focused on helping the families of executives adjust, like that could be good for referrals. So I would say, generally, if you're starting out in a business, it seems like commenting on posts from HR people, if that's who you're going after, just like still engage them, because it sounds like we haven't cracked that yet.
Yeah.
So there's some kind of daily baseline of engagement with them. And cold outreach is difficult. It's really hard to make that work. I had a tip actually from Aaron, who's COO and my accountability partner, who was saying that they do occasionally get people outreaching for services. And one of her tips is if they do cold outreach, make sure they have your actual CV, because they actually do save that on file. And sometimes in the future, they go back to that file. I don't know if everyone does that, but like make sure your cold outreach has like, I guess, a PDF attached or something, especially if you're doing email, because people might save that and look you up later. But it doesn't sound like that's a very, very successful sales approach.
Yeah.
So, and generally speaking, it's hard to get people's attention anyway. You can try and offer something free, but people are so busy,
right?
They don't even take free anymore.
And that's, one of the things that I'm like, ugh. Sometimes people think they're too busy to do whatever improvements they need to, not realizing that if they were, taking the time to do that, then it would free up time eventually. But it's the cost now for the benefit later.
Well, and it's human psychology, right? If people don't stop and think about the benefit that could be gained if they did something different, they think about, how do I solve my crisis now?
Yeah.
Right? And so it's not even like, I don't think it's people weighing that I could do that, but if I did that, I'd have to do, it would be harder and I'd take effort. I think a lot of people just don't even recognize the option. Yeah. They're just so caught up in that. So, have you been reaching out, like doing some regular engagement with global HR people?
I have to say this last week, I have not been as good.
Okay.
We had Halloween on Monday and I made our son's Halloween costumes, and that kind of consumed the Wednesday through Monday of last week / this week. And so, and then yesterday was kind of like a recovery day as I got back into things. So I haven't. And so that's one of the things would be a good thing to do today. It would be get back into there, look at the people I've talked to in the past, see if I can find a few more people. And I look on LinkedIn as well as Twitter because a lot of them congregate there.
This is something I have noticed just from interacting with people online. Being the first person to respond to someone's comment gets you attention because they're paying attention. Like if you're number 100 or even like number 20, forget about it. But like if you're in the top 5, you have a high chance of getting engagement. And then the other thing, particularly for Twitter, but maybe for other things, like if there's someone you're a fan of and you apply something they said, like, something from one of their books or videos or whatever, you apply that to somebody else and at them, like, they love that because it's someone showing their work in context. So, I mean, most recently, an example of that I just did with a podcast where I'd listened to a podcast about events and how to engage people more, and I just added the podcast and the speaker saying that that was a great particular podcast and got my gave me these ideas about like conferences in the future, and they retweeted that, etc. So that type of engagement is more successful, and I think that's also just to like learning, right? There's a certain amount, like if you don't know what else to do, engage with your target audience. And that does not necessarily mean cold outreach. It means engage with them how they want to be engaged with.
Yes.
And like sometimes if you have a really good offer, cold outreach works, but that's hard. And especially when you're figuring out what that offer is, I think just more personal connections is better.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like I do so much better in person. I'm trying to think if I've ever had a sample session where I ended up not getting hired. And I think maybe like once or twice out of is however many I've had, which is a lot, and those times it really just was a fit thing, right? And I think that's more than reasonable. I think you need the right fit for any type of interaction, especially a coaching one though. But getting in front of people, right, is can be tricky. So I actually have a thing going on this afternoon where I'm speaking in Global Kyokoku, their morning room.
That's a Japanese entrepreneur group.
Yes, and they're amazing. Their goal is to spread Japanese culture. They've got over 10,000 members now, and it's a bunch of people contributing their talents towards just being a community and giving people support, and it's been fantastic. And I have gotten a couple of clients from there, but I've also tried to stay away from like asking for clients, because in the beginning, you know, it was very much like you give, it's not a place to ask.
Yeah.
But we're starting to get to the point where people are monetizing things and doing sales and stuff like that. And so it seems like a good time to make that ask. And so that's going to happen this afternoon.
Good. Well, and you're working with some of the people running the group,
Yes.
which is one of those things where you want to give more than you ask. In most groups, you know, like Facebook groups or other groups, they'll have like a day where you can do a, you know, post about your own stuff. And Discord groups will have like a shameless plug channel or whatnot. So hopefully like a well-run group will have some of that. I think this is something we've talked about in the past, where it's like the effort to outcome ratio.
Yes.
And it also might just be, I mean, it might be that you're not asking enough. It also might be that like a singular group like this doesn't generate enough clients to sustain you. And that's actually where I was going a little bit more, where you said, you know, if I can get in with the right person, referrals, do that. And so maybe your tactic would be like find, I mean, Japanese businessmen groups in the US would be ideal because you like Japanese so much, but you could find others. I mean, there are networks of people from China, etc. And so, you know, maybe one of your goals could be, or one of the ways you find people is join some of those and offer someone like, I mean, as a coach or whatever, you might do like a free session or a trial session, but like maybe to start out with, like up it, make it, you know, again, an offer that's so great people would feel, you know, feel like they can't refuse it. Like, right? They'd feel stupid refusing it. And so like give one person, or like the first person to respond to a post, a month of free coaching or something like that, right?
That would be interesting.
But do it in several networks, right?
Yeah.
And so then you'd have one person in several different networks with different people that could promote you, rather than like saturating this one group.
The one.
Right?
That makes
like everybody knows you in that group.
Yes.
And there has been a couple clients, but theoretically, like, right? And so like if there were a lot of people that really wanted your services, they would already know who you are and what you do. And so there's so much. I'm curious to see if asking helps. Yeah. Versus like,
I'm hoping that it, you know, some of it would be an issue of people don't realize I'm actually available for clients.
Okay.
And because the people who have approached me from that group, they're very much like, I don't know if you actually do this or not, but would you by possible chance be willing to like maybe, you know, teach me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, of course, let's meet and we can talk about that.
Then that is like a knowledge gap. So it seems like one action item. So what is it that you're doing today that's asking more directly?
I'll be the main speaker in our main morning room, which is exciting. And Miyako Sensei, who's one of the amazing people in this group, is going to do a very thorough introduction to help people really understand my background, because my Japanese is conversational. It's great. It is not perfect. And so there are certain things that are harder for me to explain. And so it's nice to have, and especially when it comes to kind of, you know, tooting my own horn. I'm just
how that sounds, like there's nuance in how that represents.
Exactly. And so I don't want to, you know, be like, I'm so amazing and I have all this experience, even though I kind of do, and my clients really do like me a lot, and I feel like I've helped them a lot. But it's still, there's...
Is it was it Miyako that runs this that you've been talking to?
Yukiko-san.
Yukiko. All right, Yukiko-san. So have you just asked her how you can promote yourself? Like, when can I say that, and what should I say?
Well, and that's why we set up this thing. She said, okay, so you'll be the main speaker. You'll have 40 minutes. Talk about whatever it is you want to talk about, and then you can make your ask at the end and let people know what it is that you have to offer, and that they would help me with that too. So
well, so you're setting up like a one-time event, but like asking Yukiko specifically, like, how often can I promote myself, or when would be a good time to promote myself, and like how can I express it?
That's a good idea. Right?
Like, just so like a one-time event is good, but if you want to get clients regularly, as people, you know, I don't know what the turnover in this group is. Obviously, you're going to have some core members, but you're going to have some people coming in and coming out. And so, like, if you're doing this event once a year, you're only going to get the same people who've been there the whole year, etc. But, like, there's a certain cadence, and like I don't know what that is, right? If you talk to someone on marketing about like Twitter or other things, they'll say like, 1 out of every 6 or 7 posts can be an ask, but generally you want to be providing those 5 or 6 posts of like free value, or in a group there's a place to promote yourself. So like just asking like thank her profusely for setting up this one-time event, which is great, but like also just that asking regularly, like how can I mention this in an inobtrusive way, because there's people looking for this who don't even know that they can ask. Yeah. Right?
Okay, yeah. No, I like that.
All right.
And see, this is, like, these kinds of insights is why we do these morning check-ins, is because I have so much in my brain is, like, what I could do, what I might do. It's almost too much idea generation and not enough action. And so as we talk, it clarifies what the best actions are. And then I can get a couple of like, okay, I'm going to do this one. And then if I have time, maybe that one.
Yeah. Well, and the actions from this session would be, number one, you're already acting on the one group thing. But asking Yukiko how to promote yourself regularly, right? Like, but not obtrusively.
Yes.
Right? That's a hard line, and most people have a hard time promoting themselves in a way that feels natural. Most people, and a lot of people, underdo it. Like if people don't even know that you offer one-on-one coaching, that's definitely clearly a sign that you're underdoing it. So there's this afternoon, which is an action item that's happening anyway, but asking Yukiko how to promote yourself in an appropriate way for the group, right? That's working with the group leader, that's not just like spamming the group, etc. And then I think a third one, and I can help with this, doing market research, but actually find like business groups for Chinese, Japanese, other immigrants. And so that might be an area where if you can think about like what kind of offer has really worked for your CEO and other clients in the past, right? Then whether it's the family angle, like, hey, I can help you,
which I've done.
I can help you not only in your own business dealings, but help your family adjust. Whether it's a coaching on what you can and can't say in California tech. That was one. That was a funny one.
Oh my goodness, those lessons were fantastic.
Right, culturally, right? What's the taboo? Getting to talk about taboo subjects that like people from other cultures don't understand and don't understand where the lines are. So, I mean, you figure out what that thing is, right? And then like offer a free one. So they're like, and it might just be, it has to resonate, or it could be, going to the group leader and talking to them directly, like, hey, I don't want to spam your group, but are the people that struggle with communication and cultural issues, what do they struggle with? You can approach people with market research sometimes that you couldn't get in a cold email. So like that would be approach them with market research, ask if it would be okay for you to do a free workshop for their members or something like that, like right at one of their events. Like, do you ever do events? I could be a speaker at one of your events. Like that's offering value. And then of course like the marketing thing is you just say who you are. Like, this is who I am. I do offer this coaching one-on-one, and then go into your spiel. But like, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It's just people have to know who you are, where to find you, and what you do.
Yay.
So, all right. So I'll help you find those groups, but coming up with the pitch.
Okay.
Probably, or like things that you might pitch to those groups would be a next step. So and what we're doing here is, the target you want, ideally Japanese executives in the US would be like the closest. If we can't get that, we'll broaden that up a little bit. And you have worked with people in other areas, so we can broaden that. But it's figuring out how to target them where they are. Can you target them through global HR? How effective is that? There has been at least one company that relocates people that could potentially get you clients, but not at the rate that you would like.
Exactly.
So we're still looking, right? So like there's some success on that front, but it sounds like you've gotten a few clients from one global entrepreneur group. And so the question is like, all right, how can we turn those successes into a repeatable model? And I don't think we've done that before. And that's like, I haven't really pointed that out. I've pointed out the opposite. Like, you put a lot of effort into this, but it doesn't look like we're getting a ton of clients out of it.
Yeah.
But kind of flipping that on its head. All right, how do we take the things that have worked and scale them?
Yeah.
And is that more asking in the same group or more groups?
Yeah.
Cool.
I like that. All right. Well, now it's time to go do the thing.
All right. Yeah, do the things. We'll try and keep these strategy sessions a little bit more accurate to 8:30 to 9.
Yes. Yeah. I
Central.
Was meeting with someone from 8 to 8:30 this morning, and she wanted to talk to me for one more thing because I'm doing a conference festival thing in Houston next week where some people from this group will be coming to the States to sell and, be part of this festival. And so I'm helping them prepare for that as the kind of, American person. So, and that went a little long, so I apologize. But yes, we'll be doing these at 8:30 and probably not as long as today, but I don't know, unless it needs to be. Our check-ins were usually like 15 minutes.
There were 15 minutes, but yeah, like this, like doing actually a strategy session and emulating like some of the actual coaching, like this is a little bit more in-depth, goal-driven, less of a like, what do I want to do? Or like, what am I going to do today? Like, people might be interested in our, being quiet and meditating or thinking how we are going to have joy today. That could be a piece of that.
Joy.
But in light of our conversation, I thought we'd do a live stream more focused on the coaching aspect of it, so it gets people a lot more content specifically about business and growing a new business, as well as what coaching is like.
Yeah. So if you're interested, please subscribe. You can watch us. We'll be doing this a lot, and hopefully we'll be able to help you guys on your own journeys while we work through whatever verb you want to use, ours.
Yeah, if this is helpful, absolutely comment, subscribe, share, because if we don't get any feedback, then we will just assume it's not working for people and we'll do something else.
Yep. We'll stop doing it.
All right. Awesome. All right. See ya.
Bye.